Hello everybody, welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube and Twitch channels. I hope you're all having a wonderful Wednesday evening. We are here to get into the nitty gritty and insanity that is the political landscape of both of our countries. Because I've got two videos talking about US politics, and then of course I have our wonderful QP. And I've got to break it up. I've got the official launch trailer for Chaos Reigns. But before we get into all of that, I hope you guys are just having an awesome Wednesday. It was a beautiful day today. It was warm. It was sunny. It was awesome. And I kept hearing things in the news about pagers blowing up in Lebanon, and I was like, what the fuck? And Pinkala just told me that Israel admitted to doing it, and my only thought is people got mad at them for blowing up children because Hezbollah was using children as shields, so they found a way not to blow up children. So I hope everybody's happy now. That's all I can say. I know it's dark. I know it's kind of fucked up, but fuck it. I don't care anymore. I'm sick of pussyfooting around shit. Anyway, so we are strapping ourselves in for an insane night, cause yeah, if the last two question periods are anything to go by, it's gonna be a wild ride. And we also, as I said, we're going to be hearing from Don't Walk Run about some fact checking that went on for Kamala Harris for the debate. And yeah, that's gonna be interesting too, because of course the fact checkers think that Kamala only lied once, and of course they're gonna say Trump lied like 8,000,000 times, right? Because Trump is Trump, and he's a bad man. Oh, I thought Pinkalo said something. No, Trump is a bad man, so he lied like 8,000,000 times, and Kamala only lied once. So, yeah, and we watched that debate live, so I will know exactly what they're talking about for once. Isn't that amazing? Knowing what you're talking about. So, first, we're gonna look at a Bering video, because Bering's been dropping some funny ones lately. And this one is also political. Hillary Clinton wants to prosecute American propagandists. Now, that's very, very ironic, considering that Hillary Clinton is probably one of the largest American propagandists out there. But hey, let's pretend that's not a thing, right? Let's pretend that she's not and never and has not always been an American propaganda machine, her and her husband and the Clinton Foundation. Let's pretend that's not a thing, okay? So, here we go with our lovely introductory video. Something funny and short to get into our political landscape here. Because as I've titled the stream, it's a tale of two wackos. The wackos being Canada and the United States. So here we go.
He's still being taught, especially by the media, that the more offensive he is, the more he can dominate the media space entirely. And I feel like you've been a good diagnoser of that, not only from when you were up against him, but from what others have done. So do you have an antidote for that?
I love that.
Can I just make it abundantly clear that I'm not saying that Hillary Clinton had anything to do with the attempted Trump assassinations. That was a joke. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she did have something to do with them, but I am categorically not saying that because I have no evidence to suggest that. And Hillary really, really, really scares me.
Okay, Barry. You've started off strong, sir. Well done. It is what 38 seconds into the video and we've already started off with a laugh.
Did you talk about vice presidential possibilities with Senator Warren?
You guys have got to try the cold chai.
So what are we doing? What are we here to talk about? Well, Hillary Clinton recently did an interview with Rachel Maddow, and it had some questionable moments. Some people were kind of pissed off that she called Donald Trump really, really dangerous, like within days of an attempted assassination. And some people were rather curious at this bit.
There are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrent.
Now, I think there's a few...
Ma'am, you do realize that could go either way, right?
Interesting things in this interview, and I've been away for like a week and a half, so I think it's a good jumping off point to talk about a few things. Anyway, we've got a quick sponsor, then we'll get right into it. We are leaving your qualified clients as an exclusive
Able to
text Bearing to 50505 or visit offers.preservegold.com/bearing.
Sadly, the press is still not able to cover Trump the way that they should.
What do you mean the press isn't able to cover Trump the way they should? They lambaste him in the press all the time. What are you talking about, Hillary? Holy shit. Wow. Do you think they should be able to say more? You think they should be able to just completely roast him? Would dare I say propagandize him?
They careen from one outrage to the next. What was outrageous 3 days ago is no longer on the front pages, even though it threatens the physical safety of so many people, particularly, as you point out, immigrants that he and Vance have decided to demonize.
Okay, so she's talking about the Haitians eating cats thing, which apparently is going on in Springfield, Ohio. Now, I have heard that Trump and Vance somewhat tickled this up a bit. It was a Trump talking point during the debate.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets.
Now, how far have they tickled this up? I don't know. I have seen videos of people saying they've witnessed Haitians killing ducks, like at the...
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I am hearing stuff about how this is true, but how much is it true? Like, how much did Trump and Vance, like, embellish it?
At the local reservoir. So there is some fuckery going on. There's animals being killed and eaten that shouldn't be killed and eaten by Haitians.
Do I know for a fact, and have I seen with my own eyes, okay, a Haitian Creole immigrant killing ducks? Yes.
Okay.
They are killing ducks at our reservoir and at our parks. They are chopping their heads off and they are cooking them up.
Okay, but that's not a pet. That's still wrong. That's still not okay. But that's not people coming and killing your cat or your dog.
But I think the whole point of that thing was just to point out the sheer number of immigrants being dumped on this small town. And it's funny how this has become the left-right thing. You know, there's always a hot button issue. It's usually abortion or some shit like that. But these days it can be anything. The right goes, there's cats being eaten in Springfield. The left goes, no, that's racist. There has not been one single cat eaten in Springfield. And it's like that's the new battleground, which is absurd. Now,
it really is. The fact that is the thing that is being fought over, not, you know, actual issues, you know, like actual concrete economic issues that are happening. It's people eating cats.
Now, if I were a betting man, I'd say, yeah, there probably has been one or two cats eaten in Springfield, at least. But like I said, the story here is the sheer number of immigrants being dumped into a small town. I mean, you've got this town of about 60,000 people, and all of a sudden you dump 15 to 20,000 Haitian immigrants off. Now, we do know they eat cats in Haiti. For fuck's sake, they eat each other in Haiti. Sometimes. Put it...
Ooh, careful, Bearing. Careful, Bearing. Careful there, sir.
This way, if I was a resident of Springfield, Ohio, I wouldn't be letting my cat outside.
And I don't understand why it's so difficult for the press to have a consistent narrative about how dangerous Trump is.
Okay, so that's a bit some people got their knickers in a knot about, but I mean, it's kind of to be expected from Hillary Clinton. I can see how it's a bit average. The bloke just survived his second assassination attempt, but to say the media doesn't go hard enough on him, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, come on. Like, to say that the media doesn't cover Trump the way that they should be allowed to, like, what do you want them to be able to say?
Are you serious? I can't think of another politician the media's gone harder on. Oh,
Yeah,
and by
no.
the way, Hillary's got a new book. That's what this interview's meant to be about. It's called Something Lost, Something Gained. Reflections on Life, Love and Liberty. And it sounds like a riveting read. So
Oh yeah, it sounds amazing, and I bet you she narrates it on Audible, and I bet you it sounds horrible.
Simon & Schuster says she describes the strengths she draws from her deepest friendships, her Methodist faith, the nearly 50 years she's been married to President Bill Clinton, and her founding of a satanic pedophile ring with John Podesta. Okay.
Now, Barry.
That was another joke. Take it easy, Hillary. Put the guns away. Fuck.
The Justice Department and the State Department have taken a number of actions in the past several weeks, striking actions to both call out and indict and take action against the Kremlin for their attempts at interfering in this, in yet another presidential election cycle on Trump's behalf. The state.
Oh, of course it's on Trump's behalf. Yes, of course. Just like it was on Trump's behalf last time, right?
State Department has put out a $10 million reward for information leading to, for information about people who are about entities that are trying to illegally interfere in our election. We've seen these dramatic indictments from the Justice Department, including for paying millions of dollars, the Kremlin paying millions of dollars to pro-Trump influencers.
Okay, so here's where they're going to talk about Lauren Chen, Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, Matt Christensen, Lauren Southern.
Matt Christensen too? Oh, Jesus. Oh, come on. That's disappointing.
You know, all those Russian spies trying to influence the election on behalf of Russia.
They are using Americans, both those who are witting and willing, and those who are unwitting and are just so surprised. They're getting, $400,000 a week or $100,000 a podcast to parrot Kremlin propaganda.
Yeah, so
I'm sorry, how can you be getting this much money and be like, and from Russians and be like, I'm so surprised. I don't believe that they didn't know.
She's talking about Tenet Media, a media company that just popped up out of nowhere, apparently run by Lauren Chen. Now, in a DOJ indictment, if you haven't heard, Tenet Media was described as receiving funds from RT employees, and therefore the Kremlin. Now, Lauren Chen and her husband were the heads of Tenet Media, and they paid creators like Tim Pool, Matt Christensen, Benny Johnson, and Lauren Southern just astronomical amounts of money. Well, in the case of Tim Pool and Benny Johnson, they did anyway. But they paid them to sort of just do what they did anyway. I mean, to say that they were peddling Russian propaganda is a bit far-fetched.
But, is it though, Bearing? Because I don't know. I don't know if they're actually doing Russian propaganda, like, or if it's just pro-Trump content that the Russians think is going to... Huh? So you don't think that this is straight out Russian propaganda? It's just people doing pro-Trump content and it being called pro-Russia because that way because they think that the Russians want Trump to win.
Lauren Chen herself is anti-Trump, and Tim Pool did a video about how bad Ukraine is for America. Now, I can see why people are a bit sus on that, but Tim's got to be making like $1 to $2 million a month. Like, between his podcast, his video channel, his coffee company and all that shit, he'd be raking in the bucks. Now, he was copping $100,000 a podcast from Tenet Media, and the view counts just weren't that astronomical. Now, I saw a video Matt Christensen did on all this, and it seems like he was paid fair market value. And I know, Matt, the last thing he'd be doing is peddling Russian propaganda. So
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I've watched Matt Christensen's content. I don't see him as a guy that's like, yeah, Russia. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't see that.
So I just don't see how all this sort of benefits the Russians. I don't know, maybe I'm not seeing something. It seems like Lauren Chen and her husband were well aware they were being paid by Russians. So I think maybe they're kind of in hot water. I don't know. We've got to see this pan out. Like I said, I've been away for a week and a half, so there might be something I don't know. At one point I did think, fucking hell, I'm Australian. I talk about Australian politics sometimes, and I'm paid by the Americans. But I suppose the difference is Australia doesn't have sanctions over America, and I'm not being paid by the American government, as far as I'm aware.
So,
as far as I'm aware, yeah, right. Watch next check you get signed by the U.S. Department.
I think it's important to indict the Russians, just as Mueller indicted a lot of Russians who were engaged in direct election interference and boosting Trump back in 2016. But I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrence, because the Russians are unlikely, except in a very few cases, to ever stand trial.
So when she's talking about...
Jesus Christ, woman, what the fuck do you... How can you prove any of that? And also, as I said, propaganda can go from from any ideology, in fact. So, how do you determine what's the good propaganda and what's the bad propaganda, and why, like, I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Prosecuting Americans for propaganda, she's talking about the likes of Tim Pool. Now, I saw Timmy do a video this morning about all this, and he seems to have missed the part where she's talking about people getting paid $100,000 a podcast, which is Tim. It's clearly Tim. Either that or he just didn't watch the full interview.
Hillary Clinton says Trump is dangerous just one day after a second assassination attempt. Suggests charging Americans for spreading propaganda. Here's the video. Listen to it for yourself.
And boosting Trump back in 2016. But I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether...
Yeah. Yes. I would agree with you there. For sure, Tim.
They should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrence because then boost
that had Bernie stickers.
Yeah.
Trump.
A better deterrence. Hillary Clinton suggests jailing Americans for posting what she called propaganda.
But anyway, what I'm getting at with this bit is I didn't really see anywhere where these tenant media people were pushing propaganda. Like I said, maybe I've missed something. I mean, propaganda is defined as information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote a political cause or point of view. And I just didn't see that happening. I mean, you had Benny Johnson release a video about how good fucking supermarkets were in Russia. You know, that one with Tucker Carlson?
Yeah, Tucker, I also believe, is getting paid by Russia today. I will fully believe that. I also believe that he is not giving Pierre Poilievre any advice on Canadian shit.
I don't see how that helps the Russian cause. Like I said, if it's proven that Lauren Chen was in cahoots with Russia, then yeah, she's probably fucked. She's in a bit of trouble. But I think it's dangerous to be talking about incarcerating Americans for propaganda. I mean, at the end of the day, it's speech. The people she's talking about spoke on the internet in exchange for large amounts of money. Well, in Tim Pool's case anyway, but it's still only speech at the end of the day. Now, speaking of getting into legal trouble for speech, we've got our own problems here in Australia. That's a video for next week, I think. I'll tell you all about it. But I'm going to leave it there. I'll catch you again real soon. Follow me on Twitter. It's @bear_.
So that's what Hillary wants to do. Hillary wants to jail people for their speech. And she calls it propaganda, which I think that's rather interesting. But hey, whatever, right? You know, I guess one person's free speech is another person's propaganda, but apparently Hillary Clinton thinks that people should go to jail for that. Because, you know, she's a very democratic person. You know. She's so democratic that that's her stance. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Okay, let's see what CNN says that Kamala lied about. Because this video from Don't Walk Run says CNN fact checker says Kamala Harris only lied once. Well, let's see what they call a lie, and let's see what they also say Trump lied about, because I'm sure Don't Walk Run's gonna put that in there too. So let's pop this on.
This is Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States and the Democrat presidential nominee for 2024. Recently, VP Kamala took part in a debate with Donald Trump, the 45th and, God willing, 47th President of the United States.
And she got stomped. To the point where at one point Trump goes, "Be quiet, I'm talking."
The following will give you an idea of how well Kamala performed substance-wise.
Do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people.
Wow, how noble.
And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. My passion, one of them, is small businesses.
What?
Where is your passion, small business, apart from tearing it down?
I was actually, my mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small businesses.
So yeah, Kamala would not and could not answer the question at hand because the majority of Americans know that they aren't better off under Biden-Harris. Instead, she proceeded to blame anything and everything on Donald Trump.
Literally. I was waiting for her to be like, and if your traffic lights don't work, it's because of Donald Trump.
Let's talk about what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression.
And that's a lie. When Trump left office, the unemployment rate was 6.4%. Here's CNN's Daniel Dale on the matter.
So the Biden-Harris administration was not actually left the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. They were left a 6.4% unemployment rate in January 2021. That was certainly elevated by recent standards, pretty high, but it was significantly down from the 14.8% level it reached early in the pandemic. So it was already improving at the time the Biden-Harris administration took office. And
there you go. So it was cut in half. The unemployment rate was basically chopped in half before Trump left office. And they're like, it was the highest since the Great Depression.
And that 6.4% level was the highest since the Great Recession. So in the last 20 years, not going back decades further.
And that is correct. When Barack Obama entered office, he was left with a 7.8% unemployment rate, which is significantly higher than the 6.4% unemployment rate than the Biden-Harris administration started out with.
This was a staggeringly dishonest debate performance, just lie after lie on subject after subject.
Oh, for sure. During the debate, Kamala Harris lied about the economy, job growth, abortion, foreign policy, our military, January 6th.
She tried to say that Trump fucking created COVID.
Charlottesville, the Central Park Five, the lying never stopped.
By my preliminary count, Jake, Trump made at least 33 false claims, 33. By contrast, by, again, a preliminary count, Vice President Harris made at least one false claim.
Wait, what?
So since Daniel Dale isn't going to properly fact-check Kamala's debate claims, I guess it's up to me.
Oh boy, here we go. Here we go.
The top senior political analyst on YouTube.
Let's talk about fracking because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020.
Kamala Harris has made this claim before. It was a lie then, and it's still a lie. During her recent CNN interview, Harris was asked about her stance on fracking.
When you were in Congress, you supported the Green New Deal.
The Green New Deal. I forgot that was what it was called. It so freaking reminds me of FDR. The New Deal. Just with green.
And in 2019, you said, quote, "There is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking." Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020, that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
But in reality, she never...
What? Well, it was... I don't know why they did that, because the New Deal was not a good thing.
Actually said that during the 2020 vice presidential debate.
Joe Biden will not end fracking. He has been very clear about that. I will repeat, and the American people know, that Joe Biden will not ban fracking. That is a fact. That is a fact.
So for clarity, Kamala Harris didn't say that she wouldn't ban fracking.
No, she said Joe Biden wouldn't ban fracking.
She said that Joe Biden wouldn't. So if she's gonna lie about that, she'll lie about everything. And ironically, Daniel Dale fact-checked Harris on this just 2 weeks prior.
The fact check, bottom line, Abby, is that she did not actually make clear at a 2020 debate that she had changed her previous support for a fracking ban.
So if you're a fact checker who watched a debate and only caught one lie from Kamala Harris, it means that you're either completely incompetent at your job
or you're
or a liar.
Or yeah. You're either very bad or you're very, very dishonest.
We have had the largest increase in domestic oil production in history.
Yeah, another lie.
No,
according to the United States Energy Information Administration, when Donald Trump entered office in January 2017, U.S. oil production was nearly 8.9 million barrels a day. Within 3 years, it was at 12.85 million.
Holy shit. That is quite an increase.
Which is a 44% increase. When Joe Biden entered office, production was at nearly 11.2 million barrels a day. 3 years later, it was 12.5 million. That is a 12.6% increase.
That's That is not anywhere close to what Trump managed to do.
Also, peak oil production under Trump hit 12.9 million barrels a day in December 2019. Under Biden, the highest daily production rate was 13.2 million barrels a day in April 2024. That's only 1.6% higher than Trump.
That is not even, that she makes it sound like they just blew Trump out of the water with oil production, and no.
Are you impressed yet?
No.
In other words, no matter how you slice it, there was not a historic increase in oil production under the Biden-Harris administration.
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America.
However, it needs to be pointed out that the highest trade deficit in American history was under the Biden-Harris administration.
He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is, under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military, basically sold us out, when a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century.
The Trump administration did no such thing. The national...
So they never sold anything to the Chinese guy. Why would she say that?
Review writes, it will not surprise you to learn that Harris's accusation isn't completely accurate. As president, Trump and his administration took several steps to prevent China from acquiring advanced American-made chips.
Wasn't there like a big thing that he was upset with Huawei as well, like for what they were pulling? I'm pretty sure I remember that, right?
The National Review would then go on to list several examples of this. In other words, no, the United States did not sell American chips to China and their military. Kamala Harris is essentially calling President Trump a traitor. And she wasn't fact-checked on it. I know, you're shocked.
Oh, I know. Like, I can't actually, no, I can believe that CNN just completely ignored that and focused only on what Trump said. I can believe that. But still, I'm like, wow.
I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy, and the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse, mine would strengthen the economy.
Goldman Sachs specifically said Kamala Harris's plan would strengthen the economy? How? You don't actually ever expand on what your plans are.
But that's not what Goldman Sachs said. Here's CEO David Solomon on CNBC.
So that report, which was mentioned last night in the debate, came from an independent analyst. And it's interesting, Scott. I think a lot more has been made of this than should be. What the report did is it looked at a handful of policy issues that have been put out by both sides.
Okay.
And it tried to model their impact on GDP growth. And the reason I say a bigger deal's been made of it is what it showed is the difference between the sets of policies that they put forward was about 0.2%.
Oh, shit. That is nothing. That is literally nothing.
Okay, so economy grows. Okay, if you took these particular sets of policies they looked at, and by the way, we have no idea whether these policies, these things that are talked about will ultimately be implemented. What was the growth impact? And the differential was 0.2%.
But then the very next day, even after the CEO of Goldman set the record straight, Kamala went in front of a bust-in audience in North Carolina and again lied about what was in the report.
Audience.
Goldman Sachs, for example, had said that my plan would grow our economy and his plan would shrink the economy.
Is there a sign that says applaud and cheer?
Again, an independent analyst at Goldman Sachs found that there would be a difference in growth by 0.2%. Instead, she's making up.
Independent economists like Goldman Sachs have said my plan would grow our economy. And
I swear to God, there is a sign. There is an applause sign.
his plan would shrink the economy, reignite inflation, and send us into a recession by the middle of next year.
That's not what the report says. She is lying. Where's the fact check, Daniel Dale?
But she's not Trump. That's why he's not fact checking her.
Where is the fact check?
We have created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs while I have been vice president.
Don't walk
Nope,
around there.
another
We
lie.
covered that.
From January 2021 to August 2024, the United States has created 739,000 manufacturing jobs total. However, only 202,000 of those jobs are new manufacturing jobs.
The rest of them are reinstatement jobs. That's it.
I would also like to point out that since October 2022, job growth in manufacturing has been non-existent.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th.
No, you weren't.
I was the vice president-elect. I was also an acting senator. I was there.
I was there. I'm listening. I hear Peter Griffin when he's talking to all those black people when he thinks he's a black man. I was there.
And on that day, the President of the United States incited a violent mob to attack our nation's capital, to desecrate our nation's capital. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died.
First of all, not a single law enforcement officer or Capitol Police officer died on January 6th. Where is the...
That's what I mean. Like, the 140 officers were injured? No, first of all. And some died. Again, no. Not one of them died on the 6th. Only one of them died, like, the next day from a heart thing.
It's the fact check, Daniel! Second, Vice President-elect Harris was not present at the Capitol building during the J6 riot. According to reporting by the Washington Post, the day of the mob attack on the Capitol, Harris had received an intelligence briefing in the morning and had not returned to the Senate before rioters broke in.
So she got told that something was gonna go down, so she fucked off. Oh my god, wow!
She was kept away from the Capitol until the facility was secured.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th.
And for further verification, the Department of Justice, in a November 2021 court filing, wrote, Vice President Harris was not present at that particular time, though she was present earlier in the...
Yeah, she did. She absolutely did.
day, and was present later that day.
Let's remember that when it came to the Proud Boys, a militia.
The Proud Boys is a militia? Holy shit. Wow. That is an impressive claim. I missed that in the actual debate. I missed her saying that the Proud Boys was a militia. Jesus Christ.
The former president said, stand back and stand by.
A, the Proud Boys are not a militia. B, what exactly does she think stand back and stand by means? Attack?
Yeah. Stand back, stand by. Rush the Capitol! Ah! Yeah, that's totally what that means. Yep.
But for context and clarity, here's the exchange between Donald Trump and Chris Wallace.
But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
are you
I'm willing
prepared to
do
specifically
that,
do it? Well, go ahead, sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it.
Say it. Do it. Say it. Fucking let him talk. Holy shit. What? Wow, that is impressive. Say it, do it, say it. Well, I can't say it, do it, say it, because you won't shut up.
You want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name.
supremacists and
Who would
right
you like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud
militia.
Boys, stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left.
So Chris Wallace demanded that Trump condemn the Proud Boys and tell them to stand down and not add to violence. Because,
So he
you know,
did.
that's the job of a presidential debate moderator.
Right? I love how Chris Wallace, some like news anchor, is demanding that Trump order the standing down of this. This is ridiculous.
But then Trump complied to that request. Kamala Harris and the Democrats love to twist Trump's words around into something that it's not. And yet, no fact check from the media.
But this is not an isolated situation. Let's remember Charlottesville.
Oh, of course.
Where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side.
And here we go, spreading the Nazis are fine people hoax. This has been a lie that Democrats have been spreading for more than 7 years. Of all the things that Kamala Harris lied about at the debate,
He didn't say they were.
this is the one that
He
was
didn't say there were
easiest
fine
to fact
people on
check,
both
Daniel.
sides.
You hack.
Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young Black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5.
Yeah.
Took out a full-page ad calling for their execution.
No,
he did not.
Here is the...
He did not take out a full-page ad calling for the execution of anybody.
Ad in black and white. Go ahead, read it in its entirety. In the ad, Donald Trump called for bringing back the death penalty in New York State for criminals that murder.
Oh no! No, not bringing back the death penalty for murderers. Oh God! How dare Trump express his opinion as an American citizen on something in a newspaper? It's almost like there's a document or something that upholds the right to do that. What's that document called again? Oh yeah, the Bill of Rights.
It does not mention the Central Park 5 by name, nor does it call for their execution, especially considering that A, they were never accused of murder, and B, since they were teenagers, they wouldn't have been eligible for the death penalty in the first place.
Nope.
And here's a challenge. Show me exactly where Trump called for the Central Park 5's execution in this ad, and I will delete my YouTube channel.
There you go. There you go. That's a pretty easy challenge.
Good luck, fact checkers.
Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking.
No,
Yeah,
that's not what
an
he said.
economic bloodbath if China is allowed to sell their cheap-ass electric vehicles here. Not the violent bloodbath that Kamala is insinuating.
He said of Putin that he can do whatever the hell he wants and go into Ukraine.
Even
No, he
the
did
Washington
not.
Post admitted Trump did not make this statement in the context of an invasion of Ukraine.
No, he did not. He totally did not make that as in the context of, yeah, Putin can totally invade Ukraine. It's totally fine.
In fact, Trump did not issue any invitation to invade U.S. allies.
He admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself.
Spoiler alert, he was joking.
He says, "You're not going to be a dictator, are you?" I said, "No, other than day one."
See, that's a joke. That's clearly a joke.
We're closing the border, and we're drilling. After that, I'm not a dictator, okay?
That sounds to me like you're going back to the policies when you were president. All right.
So yes, Trump was making a joke.
Very clearly he was joking. Like, this is the thing. The media is like, we need to go harder, or Hillary Clinton, we need to go harder on Trump in the media. How much harder do you need to go? Like, Jesus Christ.
Which proves the Democrats have absolutely no sense of humor.
Nope.
These dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to
be dictators and autocrats. Are you holding up a mirror to yourself, by the way?
President again, because they're so clear. They can manipulate you.
But Vladimir Putin, a dictator, isn't rooting for Trump. In fact, he just endorsed Kamala Harris.
Yeah, he wants Kamala to win.
Womp womp. But of course, the media was lightning quick to suggest that Putin was being sarcastic. Putin appeared to suggest jokingly that he would support Harris in the upcoming US election. Vladimir Putin, the dictator, he was joking.
Oh yeah, he was totally just having us on. He didn't actually mean it. He was just joking around. It was totally just a funny.
He actually loves Trump.
Yeah.
And no, Trump was not joking when he said that he would be a dictator on day one, because, you have to take his words at face value. Words matter.
And then this business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away, so stop with the continuous lying about this stuff.
But when she ran for president the first time, she vowed to implement mandatory buybacks, i.e., take your guns away. Here's Kamala on Jimmy Fallon.
Do you believe in the mandatory buyback of quote-unquote assault weapons? And whether or not you do, how does that idea not go against fundamentally the Second Amendment?
I do believe that we need to do buybacks, and I'll tell you why. A buyback program is a good idea. Now, we need to do it the right way. And part of that has to be, buy back and give people their value, the financial value of what they have, and not just...
Which they haven't been doing at all. They've not been giving the financial value.
Take things from people that have value. When elected, if Congress fails to act, I'll give them 100 days to put a bill on my desk for signature. And if they do not do it, I will put in place by executive action a comprehensive background check requirement and a ban on the assault weapons and importation of assault weapons into our country. I'm done.
So using executive action to stomp on your constitutional right to own a firearm kind of sounds like something a dictator would do.
Yeah, it sounds pretty autocratic to me. Sounds pretty dictatorial to me, but hey, I'm just a dumb YouTuber.
And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century.
So this genius, the current vice president, by the way, wants to be the commander-in-chief, but doesn't know that we have U.S. troops in combat zones.
Does she seriously not think that there are still people abroad in combat zones right now? Does she actually think that? So that's another thing that I just.
One of the funniest clips I saw.
What?
From the posted on the unsub Reddit. Was a bunch of guys sitting in Iraq watching her say that shit. Like, they recorded it.
Yeah.
And they literally went, "What the fuck are we doing?" Like, they're losing. Everyone's pissed. How do you piss off your entire subordinates? Say that shit.
Yeah. They're not actually there. Nah. They're just lying.
I mean, on the day of the debate, U.S. Central Command put out a press release reporting that U.S. forces took out Houthi drones and missile systems that presented a clear and imminent threat to U.S. and coalition forces that are protecting merchant vessels in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden from attack. And of course, there's this clip that went viral.
And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty
in a combat zone in any war zone around the world. The first time this century. What? But let's understand.
So where the are we right now?
Oh, is this what you're talking about? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. This clip right here?
And finally, we hit on Kamala Harris's favorite thing to talk about in the whole wide world, abortion.
If Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be
his Project 2025. Yes, his Project 2025 that he's openly said, I haven't read it. I don't endorse it. I think it's stupid.
Hey,
what?
You can go, so are you ready to go over for a bit, or are you doing question period?
I'm doing question period.
Because I told you Ryan Macbeth went over the whole 900-page thing, right?
Yeah,
oh,
you did.
It's beautiful. Because he wanted to go over all those 30 points that were in that big screenshot that were going around.
Yeah.
That was made by the left. And the fact that it comes out to 3 of the things being true and the rest of it all being bullshit.
Be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages.
First of all, it's not Trump's Project 2025. Second, Project 2025 doesn't even say that. Kamala Harris and the Democrats are making it all up. But great fact check, Daniel Dale. You're doing God's work. Third, Trump has repeatedly said that the abortion issue is now with the states.
Yep.
And that Congress wouldn't have the votes to put a national abortion ban in place, let alone do what Kamala wants to do.
Well, there she goes again. It's a lie. I'm not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban. What she says is an absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter because this issue has now been taken over by the states.
And that's what it should be. It should be taken over by the states. It's a states issue. That's what a states issue literally is. Like, this is the same thing with our politics. They keep wanting to make provincial issues federal issues.
And this was one of Trump's best attacks on Harris. There is not a chance in hell that there will be 60 votes in the Senate for a President Kamala Harris to be able to codify Roe v. Wade into law. It would be an overpromise if it wasn't a blatant lie.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it came to your desk?
Well, I won't have to because, again, 2 things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the 50-50 and essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. Will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
What do you mean, come on, Kamala? 9 states plus Washington, D.C. have 0 restriction on abortion bans.
Okay, that's a little bit weird. 0 restriction? That's a little bit... That's a little bit crazy to me. There should be some restriction.
Why don't you ask her that question?
Why don't you answer the question? Would you
because
veto?
Under Roe v. Wade,
answer the question. Would you veto?
But he did answer the question about the veto, Kamala.
I'm not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban.
Then Trump told an inconvenient truth.
You could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th month,
not true.
and probably after birth.
And Trump is right. Under Roe v. Wade, state abortion restrictions were illegal. Kamala.
Oh. Really? Interesting. That I did not know.
Harris wants to put those protections back in place.
Would you
Federally.
support any restrictions on a woman's right to an abortion?
I absolutely support reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade. Nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America.
And what's absolutely insulting is the fact that Kamala Harris cannot and will not answer the question. In reality, monsters like her want abortion on demand with zero restrictions, and at the same time claim that, oh, there's no need for those restrictions because late-term abortions never happen, even though organizations like the Kaiser Family Foundation admit that this happens thousands of times a year.
Jesus Christ. That, again, I didn't know that from the Kaiser Foundation. That is absolutely crazy to me.
And what's most insulting are news outlets claiming that Kamala Harris isn't a liar. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. If there is next time.
I always love how he says that. Oh, that always makes me laugh. Okay. I am going to get myself some more water really quick because we're at the hour mark. So I will be right back, and then we are going to jump into the Canadian side of things. So share that stream, and I will be right back. Okay. We are back. And before we get into any more videos, we have presses to do because Costin has resubscribed. So, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whew. Thank you for the subscribe, Costin. All right. Now, before we get into the question period, we're going to watch this because I have not watched it yet. This is the official launch trailer. This is just like gameplay, and I think we actually get Ghostface's fatality that we get to see. So we're gonna watch this real quick, and then we're gonna get into QP. So here we go. Here we go. This is the trailer for the expansion pack that comes out. Do it at the end? Yeah, I'll do it at the end. I'm gonna do it at the end. Where is QP? QP is right here. And QP is 59 minutes. But we're gonna skip through the French. Because screw the French. Here we go.
Questions orales, oral question.
Yay!
The Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Oh, not you again.
Minister in his terms, we asked bring home bigger paychecks, but not in that he's obsessed with his own thirst for power. We're concerned about Quebecers and Canadians, and we're working for them.
The Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
The NDP leader sold out Canadians to sign onto a costly coalition that doubled the debt, doubled the housing costs, sent 2 million people to food banks and 1,800 tent encampments. He voted 24 times for the carbon tax. And since he did his dramatic video, he's refused to answer 40 times whether he'd vote non-confidence. Now that he knows that the Bloc is going to keep the Liberals in power, he'll stand up and claim that he's voting against. Mr. Speaker, why won't the NDP stand up when it counts so that we can end this costly coalition and elect a common sense government?
Yeah, because the Bloc Québécois came out today and said that they would not vote non-confidence because there's got to be there's got to be something that Trudeau is giving the Bloc Québécois behind the scenes. There's no way. There's no way that there's not something behind the scenes that they're not getting.
Before the Prime Minister takes a crop, I'm going to ask the Honorable member from New Westminster, Burnaby, please, to only take the microphone when his voice is recognized. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Holy shit, he's actually here today.
Mr. Speaker, once again, we see that the Leader of the Opposition enjoys his political games, enjoys chasing after his own political interests.
What the fuck? What? Is there an invisible mirror in front of Trudeau right now?
Not a second to care for Canadians' interests. He's actually in a bad mood because inflation has come down for Canadians. He doesn't care about their interests. That's why we're going to continue to deliver for Canadians. We're going to continue to step up with investments that are going to support Canadians, fight climate change, and build a brighter future for everyone.
First of all, that wasn't a question or an answer to a question. And second of all, the fact that he's able to say with a straight face that Trudeau or that Poilievre doesn't care about Canadians' interests is just insane.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, after 9 years of this costly NDP carbon tax coalition, what's happened? What's up? Taxes up, costs up, crimes up, time's up. What Canadians need is hope. By choosing a common sense government that axes taxes, builds homes, fixes the budget, and stops the crime so they can earn powerful paychecks and pensions that buy affordable food, gas, and homes in safe neighborhoods.
Gee, it's almost like he has plans that he's laid out several times. And nobody wants to actually do anything to implement them.
Protected by a strong military. Why can't we bring it home now?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, that little performance shows just how much the Leader of the Opposition loves his slogans.
Little performance. Listen, drama queen. Listen here. Blackface man, Mr. Costume, oh my god. Oh my lord.
But actually doesn't put forward any.
Minister.
Speaker, that little performance shows just how much the Leader of the Opposition loves his slogans, but actually doesn't put forward.
Did Krista Freeland just yell he's not a leader?
How much the Leader of the Opposition loves his slogans, but actually doesn't put forward any.
How can she get away with that?
She just literally yelled, he's not a leader!
I'm going to ask, as I'd ask a previous member before, to please not take the floor unless they're recognized. I'm going to ask all members, please, to allow the member to. I'll ask Prime Minister, Right Honourable Prime Minister, to start from the top. All members, please. Previous member before, to please.
Slogans, but actually doesn't put forward any.
Yeah, that was one of the Conservatives.
I'm going to ask, as I'd ask a previous member before, to please not take the floor unless they're recognized. I'm going to ask all members, please, to allow the member to. I'll ask Prime Minister, Right Honourable Prime Minister, to start from the top.
Boy, Mr. Speaker, point out the
Mr. Speaker.
performance of the Leader of the Opposition, and his colleagues get all upset because they know that he doesn't actually care about Canadians. He doesn't care about the programs we're delivering. He doesn't care about stepping up to support Canadians. He's actually.
Oh my god, stepping up again with that stepping up. He doesn't care about Canadians. He doesn't care about you. Again, this is the same rhetoric from I don't know. I really don't know why he's
in a bad mood because inflation has come down to 2%, Mr. Speaker, and it ruins his little Justin inflation slogan. He is so upset because he's cared about his own interests and not the interests of.
Wow, Trudeau is pissed. Spins little rhymes and tosses out his slogans. Oh, I'm so upset.
Take this seriously, like we always have.
Huh? He is. He is very worried. But I think also today he's cocky because the Bloc Québécois is gonna prop him up.
If anyone had any doubt, it's definitely Wednesday. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the just inflation tagline works now better than ever. He can try to call himself Rocky Balboa and play fight songs to aggrandize himself as the star. But the people lined up at food banks, 2 million of them every month.
Damn. That's fucking brutal. That
Seriously, he lost his shit over that?
Yep.
That's
Yep.
He can try to call himself Rocky Balboa and play fight songs to aggrandize himself as the star. But the people.
I bet you I could do it on my computer. If I opened up, what's it called?
People lined up at food banks, 2 million of them every month. No better. The people who are living in the 1,800 Ontario tent encampments know better. The 35 homeless encampments in Halifax, the people there know better. They know that we need to fire this costly carbon tax coalition so we can elect a common sense government that will bring it home for them.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, he sure loves to declaim about vulnerable people and perform his empathetic supposed concern. But the reality is he is using vulnerable people for his own political gains. If he actually cared about people...
I'm sorry. What in the fuck have you been doing with Indigenous people for the past 9 years? Mr. Thank you for your donation.
He wouldn't have voted against dental care for 700,000 seniors. He wouldn't have voted against a school food policy that's helping families with $800 worth of groceries a year. He's not making the investments in Canadians. He wants to cut programs, make Canadians suffer, so he can sit in the big chair.
Lord.
Order.
Order.
What?
Then I have
the honourable member for Belleuil-Chambly. The Prime Minister appointed a special envoy to fight Islamophobia, and she felt that her terms of reference include...
Come here! No! Come...
Let me see. What did it come up with?
Hold on. Where'd it go?
Come here! Oh, go away, go away. Come here,
no.
Go away, go away, go away. Stop, right here. Okay, what the hell? You got there's no...
Oh, it didn't work? Okay.
There's no photo. This is Chat GPT.
Well, I can't use Grok.
Well, I didn't say use Grok. I said use... never mind.
I don't have AI. Oh, okay. Let it go.
Included.
Oh, go away, you suck as a translator.
Being a rock, people's paying the price. The NDP. What's it going to take? The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Further behind and promise
Continue to defend our public health care system, and we will keep investing in the Canadian system, but unfortunately the NDP can't say the same.
The honourable member for Cowichan, Malahat, Langford.
They are failing on health care and they are failing on groceries because 1 year ago today, the Liberals met with Canada's grocery CEOs and promised to stabilize prices.
Yeah.
A year later, prices are still up. Grocery CEOs are still gouging families struggling to put food on the table.
Yep.
Meanwhile, the Conservatives remain silent on grocery greed and
they do they? They do they? The Conservatives are remaining silent on the prices of groceries? Where? Where exactly is this happening?
I want to give even more taxpayer money to these CEOs. Canadians are fed up. They are working harder and falling further behind. Why does this Prime Minister keep caving to CEOs while Canadians pay the price?
Here, here!
Here, here!
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, the NDP is taking a page out of the Conservative playbook and choosing slogans rather than the hard work that'll actually help Canadians. Right. We've delivered some of the most comprehensive reforms to the Competition Act in order to hold big grocers account for the work that they're doing in terms of delivering for Canadians. We've also moved forward on
he's claiming that the NDP are turning into the Conservatives. That's what he's saying. And the NDP are saying that the Conservatives don't care about grocery prices and the Liberals are basic. The NDP and the Liberals are calling each other the Conservatives. Basically, is what's happening.
A national school food program that's putting more food in the bellies of 400,000 kids across the country as provinces come on board, and is going to save parents up to $800 on their grocery bills. These are things tangibly that we're busy delivering while they're playing politics.
Oh yes, they're playing politics.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
April 30th, 2014. Life in Canada, home of the world's most affluent middle class, the New York Times. Yet, today, almost a decade after that NDP Liberal Prime Minister has been in what he calls the big chair, Canada's GDP per capita is actually down, while the American one is up 19%.
Yeah. And that's according to the CBC, which is a Liberal Party or a government-funded news source.
His carbon taxes are strangling growth. How could the solution possibly be to quadruple the tax to 61 cents a litre and send more jobs and businesses south?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, we know the Leader of the Opposition doesn't believe in climate change and doesn't believe in putting more money in the pockets of Canadians.
What the fuck? There was no climate change mentioned in that question. What are we talking about climate change for?
With the Canada carbon rebate. How many wildfires, hurricanes, droughts are going to go after Canadians' lives and livelihoods before he understands you can't have a plan for the economy unless you have a plan for the environment?
I'm sorry, did he just say that wildfires and hurricanes and droughts are going to go after Canadian livelihoods? Like they're sentient? And like they have a plan to decimate the what the fuck? What the fuck? The environment is actively like planning to kill us? Is that what he just said?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
He doesn't have a plan for either, as evidenced by the fact that he came completely unglued and started spitting out personal insults and crying, "Liar, liar, liar," on a radio station the other day when he learned that I had pointed to his own government report, which showed that his carbon tax will blow a $25 to $30 billion hole in our GDP. This was from a report that his government tabled in the House of Commons. If, in fact, his government is lying about the true cost of the carbon tax to our economy, then what is the true cost?
That's a good question. Wildfires and hurricanes hunting down Newfies. Fury Kitten, hi! Mother Gaia is a vengeful mistress. Right? Isn't she though?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Parliamentary Budget Office, sir, demonstrated that 8 out of 10 Canadian families do better with the Canada carbon rebate every 3 months than the cost of the price on pollution. And on top of that, Canadians know the price on pollution has brought down our emissions faster than any other G7 country.
We have 800,800 trees per person in this country. What emissions are you talking about?
At the same time as it is supporting Canadians in the middle class and working hard to join it. We're going to continue to fight climate change and invest in a strong economy for the future, while the Leader of the Opposition continues to deny climate change and cut programs and services that Canadians rely on.
That's right.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, you can't sit in the big chair if you can't read your own government documents.
Oh, shit.
Environment and Climate Change Canada carbon pollution pricing data tabled in this House by his government said that it will cost between $25 and $30 billion in lost GDP when this tax is implemented. A further document tabled by his environment minister on carbon tax 2 says there will be another $9 billion hole for a total of between $34 and $40 billion. Now
fucking hell. 34 to $40 billion. Wow.
He screams that this is all lies. Again, if his government documents are lying, what is the true cost of the carbon tax to our economy?
Just the number, please. I'm waiting for him to say that. Just the number, please, sir. Just the number.
Every Canadian, except perhaps the Canadians in the Conservative Party of Canada, understand that the costs of inaction on climate change will be catastrophic, not just with wildfires, droughts, floods, hurricanes, but with lost economic opportunity, lost jobs, lost growth for Canadians as we solve the challenges of the 21st century. We are choosing to invest in a strong economy for the future. We're choosing to fight climate change.
Yeah, he did. He literally just, because the Conservative Party is not just who sits in the House of Commons. You can be a constituent and be a member of the Conservative Party. So he's basically just said that if you're in the Conservative Party, you don't understand anything. Well done, Fury Kitten. I like that.
Change and develop the solutions that the world's going to need to do that, while the leader of the opposition offers a do-nothing climate change plan that will cost
climate
Canadians
change plane. He
billions.
almost said.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
His carbon tax has not stopped a single flood, or single fire in this country. He's not stopped any natural disasters. What he has done is driven Canadians into poverty. Quadrupling the tax to 61 cents a litre will cause a nuclear winter for our economy. Something that his carbon tax coalition partners in the NDP
Wildfires. You are on fire today, Fury Kitten. Holy shit.
So if he really is so confident in a 61 cent a litre tax, why doesn't he call a carbon tax election and let Canadians decide?
Because he's not confident in it. He's terrified.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, the problem with the leader of the opposition is he believes in slogans. He just doesn't believe in climate change. The fact is, our plan to fight climate change is not just putting more money in the pockets of 8 out of 10 Canadians across the country, but is bringing down emissions and creating jobs and opportunity for Canadians for generations to come.
Where are your generational jobs? Where are your lowered emissions? Where? Nobody believes you, dude.
His climate change.
Oh, yeah, and the stepping up. We're stepping up for Canadians.
Denialism, his do-nothing plan to fight climate change is going to hurt Canadians. We are going to continue to build a strong economy for the future because we know fighting climate change is part of it.
I love how he's focused on climate change, and Poilievre didn't once talk about climate change. Like, except to be like, your carbon tax hasn't done shit for climate change. But, hey, Costin.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
But he's not fighting climate change. He's driving production out of Canada to more polluting for foreign jurisdictions, rather than our common sense plan to greenlight green projects that produce more energy around the world that displace emissions. That's a common sense approach. And he still won't answer the question, though, on the full cost of his 2 carbon taxes. I've cited government documents tabled in this House that say that it will total between $34 and $40 billion per year in lost GDP and jobs. If his government documents are wrong, then what is the true loss of GDP as a result of his 61 cent a litre carbon tax?
He's not going to let him go. He's not going to let him not answer the question. This is great. I love this. He's just like, tell me the number.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, he talks about driving investment out of Canada. He must be remembering his own time as minister, because since 2016...
Oh my God, that was fucking 13 years ago now. Wow.
Mr. Speaker, foreign direct investment is up 60% in this country. Last year, we were third in the world after the U.S. and Brazil, which makes us #1 for foreign investment in the G20 per capita. The reality is, Mr. Speaker, we are continuing to show the world.
No, it's not. The numbers he's citing are not accurate. And they're not answering the question of what's the true cost to the GDP for this carbon tax.
That they can have confidence in Canada and in Canadians. Why doesn't he have confidence in Canadians? Why won't he invest in Canada?
It's almost like he's relying on climate change to sway the people that wonder if...
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Deputy Governor of the Bank of Canada said of Canada's investment problems, emergency break glass. Canadian workers get 55 cents of investment for every dollar American workers get, and only 65 cents for every dollar that an OECD worker gets. The gap between the Canadian and U.S. economy is now at a 100-year high after 9 years.
You are bankrupting yourselves. At a cost to your GDP, it is funny money.
Of the NDP Liberal. So one last time. His own documents show that his 61 cent a litre carbon tax will blow a $40 billion hole in our economy. If that number's not right, what is the real number?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, once again we see that the Leader of the Opposition is frustrated that international economists, climate experts, academics...
No, he's frustrated that you won't answer the fucking question.
...and grow a strong economy, while he's stuck with late-night far-right conspiracy YouTube videos.
Wow! Late-night far-right YouTube conspiracy videos. What, do you think he's listening to Nick fucking Fuentes? So, what the fuck? Where does this... What the fuck?
That's all he's got.
That's literally all you can come up with? Well, you listen to YouTube videos. You meanie head.
The reality is, Mr. Speaker, we are delivering concretely to build a stronger future for Canadians, to fight climate change and to grow the economy, while he is hiding his head in the sand and refusing to admit even that climate change
Has he considered corks to stop loose farts?
It's real.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly.
Oh, this is the Bloc Québécois.
A unanimous motion by the Quebec Assembly that education comes under Quebec's exclusive jurisdiction and hiring professors should be based on merit and certainly not based on religion. They reiterate that hiring based on religion is not only discriminatory, but it goes against state secularism. And the National Assembly repeats its request to have the special envoy on Islamophobia fired.
You're fascist far right, apparently. Oh, yeah, okay. if you're a fascist far right, then yeah.
I'd just like to remind all members, I know there was a lot of content in that question, and it's difficult for our interpreters to interpret all of that. And so
everybody
we should
shut
speak at a
up.
speed that's reasonable for our interpreters. Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, let me be crystal clear. The universities have to hire the best possible people for the job. That's their job. But we also recognize that universities have policies that they've put in place to ensure that their staff reflect the diversity of the communities they serve.
Oh, fuck you with your diversity shit. The Bloc Québécois guy was actually making a point about merits and meritorious hiring, and you're like, no, diversity.
So I have full confidence in our universities, and we must always keep fighting systemic discrimination in all our institutions from coast to coast to coast. The Honourable Member. For in
30 to 100.
This very
Ooh,
place,
we got
and
lots
the
of
Bloc, which was
poly
elected to this
today.
place, should be ashamed of saying such a thing.
What? Yes. If you hired strippers to act as stewardesses and handed out free travel and alcohol on trains, you could get rid of domestic car use overnight far cheaper than any green initiative. You're not wrong. Practically all. Yeah, you're not wrong.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
2000 to 2014, Canadians attracted $30 to $100 billion more of American investment than the reverse.
Yeah, we had Americans coming up here to go shopping.
In the last 9 years of this NDP Liberal government, there have been $450 billion more Canadian dollars invested in the U.S. than the return. That's Canadian money billing U.S. pipelines, U.S. mines, U.S. businesses paying American workers with Canadian money. That is the consequence of a high carbon tax and a high energy price that drives jobs away.
Yep.
When will the Prime Minister learn that his radical plan to hike the tax to 61 cents a litre will destroy our economy further?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
The problem with that argument, Mr. Speaker, is that the Leader of the Opposition doesn't understand that the International Monetary Fund and others have projected Canada to have...
Fuck the IMF! See, this is when all those stupid conspiracy theorists start sounding a little less stupid.
Stronger growth than the United States next year, despite the fact that we have a price on pollution, or perhaps because of the fact we have a price on pollution that is drawing in investment from around the world in the growing sectors of the economy to ensure good jobs in mining, in environmental research.
You can't even figure out what you're trying to say. Because you're lying through your teeth. You have literally no idea what you're saying, do you?
In various industries, because we know the future is greener.
The future is greener, huh? That's not a slogan at all. No.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Our per capita GDP is smaller than it was 10 years ago, perhaps the first time since the Great Depression that has happened. He's had the worst economic growth since the Depression. The OECD says that Canada will have the worst economic growth this year and for the next 3 decades. Our economy has dropped more per capita since before COVID than any other G7 country. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
I love how the Liberals are just talking over him, and Fergus is letting it happen.
Prime Minister wants to quadruple the carbon tax to 61 cents a litre, which will be an economic catastrophe for this country.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, what that little performance just showed is that the Leader of the Opposition is using his brokenest argument around...
Did he just say brokenest?
The Leader of the Opposition is using his brokenest argument around Canada to explain why he would cut dental programs, cut child care.
He said the word brokenest. He literally just said the word brokenest argument. What the fuck is wrong with this man?
Care, step away from any climate action, withdraw support to draw in investment. That's his excuse. The problem with that argument, however, Mr. Speaker, is Canada actually has the strongest fiscal position of any of the world's advanced economies, and our choice is putting that strong fiscal position in service of investment in Canadians, in dental, in childcare, in pharma, in...
They cut him off. Your time is up, rambling man. Stop talking. Remember, oh yes, of course, Fury Kitten. And it's better for the environment, so I have been told. Just in English, do you speak it?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
There he goes again, telling Canadians they've never had it so good. It's never been so good for those 2 million people lined up at food banks. For the 1 million people every month that go to food banks in Ontario, record-smashing increases in homelessness by his own admission, after he promised a food program that hasn't delivered a single meal, despite millions spent on bureaucracy. 1 in 4 kids line up at food banks. And now, the worst. He proposes to quadruple the carbon taxes on heat, housing, fuel, and food. How much, and how much will that take from our
Again, he is not gonna let it. He is not gonna let this go. Is it gonna be fucking another 49 minutes of this? Holy Jesus. Holy Jesus Christ. Okay.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the problem that he will not the problem he has is that he cannot admit...
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the problem that he will not the problem he has is that he cannot admit...
You can't even form your sentence. You're so frazzled that you can't even form a proper sentence.
That the price on pollution puts more money back in the pockets of middle-class Canadians and those working hard to join it. He continues...
Those working hard to join the middle class. You've killed the middle class, dude.
To spew the line that Canada is broken, and whenever I point out that we have a strong fiscal balance sheet that we should be putting in service of programs and supports for Canadians, he says, no, we need cuts. That is not the path forward.
I love how he puts Polly up. No, we need cuts. Ah, I'm evil.
Whenever I point something out, he tells me I'm wrong.
2 million, and that is at Canadian population levels. That is even higher than the inflated use of UK food bank usage. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
And that's the choice Canadians get to make. Do we go with austerity and cuts to programs, or do we invest in Canadians and their future?
Yeah, so why aren't you letting us make that decision?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Canadians who can't eat, heat, or house themselves are
Yep.
living in austerity now. And as to his false PMO talking point about 8 out of 10 Canadians being better off, it conveniently excludes the $25 billion per year in economic costs that his own government admits that the carbon tax imposes on Canadians. And that's why 6 in 10 Canadian families and 100% of the middle class are worse off with his carbon tax. So his documents show Canadians are worse off. If he doesn't have confidence in his own government documents, how can this House have confidence in his government?
Good question. Good question. Because you can't have confidence in this government if he doesn't even have confidence in his documents. So what's the Prime Minister going to say to that?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Millions of Canadians across the country have received the Canada Carbon Rebate checks that puts...
And they're fucking worth nothing.
More money in their pockets every 3 months than it costs them on average on the price on pollution. That allows us not only to fight climate change and boost our economy in strong ways that create the innovative solutions that the world is going to increasingly rely on, but it helps Canadians with affordability at a challenging time. He would eliminate those Canada Carbon Rebate checks and put forward...
It isn't it though? Like this whole it puts more money back in the pockets of Canadians. It so doesn't. Okay, I need to stop and do a stretch. Oh my god. Solo cam for a second. Ow. Ow. Okay. Holy shit. Oh. And remember, friends, this stream is brought to you by you, and there is a stream goal, so please consider hitting up that link in the chat, pinned up at the top there. Okay. I need to jump. I need to do jumping because this is driving me crazy and making me sleepy. Okay, here we go.
No plan to fight climate change. That's not how you build the future for Canada.
The Honourable Member from Winnipeg Centre.
Mr. Speaker, under the Liberals, housing prices in Winnipeg are out of control. The average rent for a one-bedroom suite in Winnipeg increased over 22% since last year, the largest jump in the country.
That is kind of bullshit.
Corporate landlords are buying
jump.
up affordable housing and jacking up rents because they know they have support of both the Liberals and the Conservatives. Well, I can tell you one thing, Mr. Speaker, they are not the answer to our housing crisis. So my question to the Prime Minister, why is he allowing corporate landlords to price people out of their homes?
She's so over the top. I can't laugh. The current UK government will make Trudeau's government look like a laissez-faire capitalist paradise. Yeah, I've heard some of the shit that the current government in the UK is pulling. It's pretty scary.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I very much look forward to working with the NDP Premier of Manitoba on Renters' Bill of Rights. We just presented a number of measures that will directly help renters, like ensuring that rent is counted towards calculation of credit scores so people can get a mortgage.
Oh yeah, because right now when rent is stupidly high and there's no caps on rent and everything, and people are having trouble paying rent, That's the perfect time to put rent on your credit score. Yes, yes.
From landlords. We recognize, as I'm sure do the NDP, that is largely a provincial jurisdiction, but I'm very glad to hear that the Premier of NDP, the Premier of
NDP? What the fuck is the matter with you, Trudeau?
Very glad to hear that the Premier of NDP, the NDP Premier of Manitoba will be stepping up to work with the federal government on delivering for Canadians in Manitoba and indeed right across the country.
He said stepping up again. I swear to God, by Friday I'm gonna need alcohol. Streamlabs.com/blindpress. I do too.
The honourable member from Edmonton, Griesbach.
What is in provincial jurisdiction is what's happening in Edmonton, Griesbach, where the federal government is set to bulldoze hundreds of homes in my community so that developers get rich. These homes are on public land and are some of the last affordable units in my city due to decades of liberal and conservative cuts. Families like Kim's, a single mom raising a child with a family with a member of with a disability, is scared she will be homeless.
Oh yeah, use the disabled person. Use the disabled person for heartstring pull. There you go.
Will the Prime Minister stop the dem evictions, stop selling off land to rich developers, and build the homes that people can actually afford?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, our government put forward one of the most ambitious investments in housing that this country has ever seen. And we are happy to work hand in hand with the NDP to make sure that public lands get used for affordable housing.
Well, there already are being used for affordable housing, and you guys are gonna demolish some units. Why are you doing that?
We're doing everything we can to push back against provinces that are attacking public affordability of homes. We would very much like to continue working with the NDP on this matter. They're choosing to play politics with the Conservatives and put politics first. We're going to continue to work to make sure that his residents in Edmonton, Griesbach, and indeed right across the country get better affordability, better homes, because that's what this federal government is focused on.
Of course it is.
The honourable member from Kingston and the Islands.
Oh, here we go. I think this guy's conservative.
Mr. Speaker, this month, the U.S. Department of Justice revealed that Russia is funneling money to conservative media figures to push their far-right propaganda. This is a clear threat to our democracy and Canada's national security. And yet,
I'm going to ask the honourable member to please take a seat.
Wow.
You want me to represent you, Mark? I would like to... to please not take their time out of turn on both sides of that.
Ever since that fucking line was coined in 2015, it has never stopped being fucking said. There's no democracy in Canada.
No, we're a constitutional monarchy. That's what we are. We are not a democracy. We are a constitutional fucking...
...to the House so that we can hear the question that's being asked. I'm going to invite the honourable member from Kingston and the Islands to start from the top so that the Speaker can hear the question. And I ask all members to please hold with their comments. The honourable member from Kingston and the Islands.
Mr. Speaker, earlier this month, the U.S. Department of Justice revealed that Russia is funneling money to conservative media figures to push a far-right propaganda. This is a clear threat to our democracy and Canada's national security.
Yes, because we are so... Because those media people are living in Canada now. They're totally not living in the States and not being indicted by the State Department of Justice at all.
And yet, the leader of the Conservative Party is directing his MPs to block the Public Safety Committee's study on this real issue. Can the Prime Minister tell this House what our government is doing to protect Canadians from this very real threat of foreign interference?
I don't believe that. I don't believe that. What? That's funny. Yeah.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the honourable member for Kingston and the Islands for his advocacy on this unbelievably important issue.
Yes, it's an unbelievably important issue that Tim Pool and Lauren Southern and fucking Benny Johnson. Oh my God! Somebody please. I need to buy alcohol this weekend.
That Russia is pushing its
This is retarded.
in our democracy, but even more appalling that they are using far-right Canadian conservative influencers to divide Canadians. We must all stand against this. I call on all parties, including the conservative.
Every time this shit has come up in public now, and the fact that we've talked to some of these people over the years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's connections there.
Yeah.
And you sit there, and these people are like, oh my God, did you hear this, and about this person? You mean Roman Millennial? Who's that? The half-Asian Canadian chick who's being flagged for Russian propaganda for working underneath and with Captain Beanie Man? It's like, who's Captain Beanie Man? There's my fucking point.
Yep.
Conservative Party of Canada to stand up and investigate these allegations and follow up on it. Let it get through committee.
Oh, please say something.
Order. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you.
After 9 years of this NDP Liberal Prime Minister, housing costs have doubled. Now, he said he was going to create a $4 billion fund to give to cities to speed up home building. So he gave Toronto City Hall $500 million. What did they do? Hiked building taxes by 42%.
Yep.
He gave Ottawa City Hall $200 million, so they could hike taxes by 11%. He gave Mississauga City Hall $113 million, so they could hike taxes by 22%. Why does he keep funding bloated local government gatekeepers that block housing rather than building the homes?
That's a good question. Again.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let us not take any lessons from that failed Harper housing minister who didn't get anything while he was on the job.
You can't even say your insult properly without tripping over your own words.
We're going to continue to do what he didn't, which is working with cities, working with provinces and territories, working with non-profits to get homes built.
That's right.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
They're not being built. In fact, housing construction is down, way down. And he should take lessons from everyone because he has the worst housing inflation in Canadian history.
Yep.
And by far the worst housing inflation in the G7 after 9 years in power. And now he's bloating up the same bureaucracies that have given us the slowest building permits in the G7. Why won't he follow my common sense plan to link federal dollars to housing completions to incentivize local governments to speed up permits, free up land, and actually cut building taxes?
Because that makes sense. That makes sense. That's why.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition's so-called housing plan was universally panned by experts, which is why it failed in this House of Commons. The reality is, Mr. Speaker, we have been working with premiers working with municipalities, working with nonprofits to turn the ship around that he neglected when he was so-called housing minister.
So-called housing minister. Wow, he is so angry and so fucking just upset with this. He has nothing to say.
For Canadians, we have a lot more work to do, and his slogans and divisive attacks aren't going to get any homes built for anyone.
Oh, they only exist for conservatives. That's all. Yes.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, when I was housing minister, the average...
The bureaucracy must expand to fulfill the needs of the current bureaucracy. Exactly, Fury Kitten.
Attacks aren't going to get any homes built for anyone.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, when I was housing minister, the average home price was $450,000. The rent was $950 for a one-bedroom, $1,100 for a two-bedroom. It's now doubled to over $2,000.
Yeah.
And we built almost 200,000 homes at those rock-bottom low prices. So now, fast forward a decade, 28% of Canadians tell a RE/MAX survey they're considering leaving.
Yeah.
I looked it up.
Yeah.
When he was housing minister, this house was $80,000.
What? This house
was $80,000 when he was fucking housing minister.
When my dad bought his house,
It was 85.
Yeah.
And his is about as big.
Yeah.
So now think about that. How much did I just drop? How much did we drop? 300?
300.
And we bought, I literally bought the cheapest livable house in the fucking province.
Yeah.
So.
Literally.
Leaving the country
You had
because
a
of
bird
housing
on your
inflation
windowsill?
doubling under this Prime Minister. So why doesn't he get his gatekeepers out of the way and follow my common sense plan to build the homes?
Because he is a gatekeeper.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, like in so many of his plan consists entirely of slogans and personal attacks on me, on mayors, on Canadians who are working to get things.
I'm sorry. Are you upset that your name just happens to work very well with just inflation? Does that make you upset? Does that make you sad? In your sad little heart.
Things done. We are investing in partnership with municipalities to change zoning laws, to invest in public lands, to support nonprofits to build more units. I was just in Vancouver meeting with the extraordinary folks of the Vancouver Chinatown Foundation that are delivering a unit that this young woman can now live in and afford because of investments this federal government has delivered. We're going to be...
One unit for one person. Good for you.
There for Canadians while he's there for himself.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
La semaine dernière.
Last week.
Slogans and personal attacks. Pot calling the kettle black. Yep.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
La semaine dernière.
Accept treatment and on the Prime Minister that leaders
skipping
I'm being
the French.
For Quebec. Draw.
Avant qu'on continue.
For Belush. To invite the Prime Minister, my colleague is even doing here if he doesn't think he has legitimacy to speak for Quebec.
Order.
Avant qu'on continue.
Before going on, this is an important point. I would just like to ask the Prime Minister to withdraw the...
Oh shit! What did he say?
He was part of the national members seriously in drug...
We need to hear this. Okay.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
We're gonna listen.
Last week, A woman was stabbed near a hard drugs injection site, the Maison Benoît Labre, near a primary school.
Why is there a hard drug and safe injection site near a primary school? Why is that a thing?
This tragedy could have been avoided if the Prime Minister had accepted what I asked around 3 months ago. I asked for hard drug injection sites to be closed and for money to be invested in drug treatment. Will the Prime...
Where?
At the end of your mother's street, right by City Hall.
Oh, lovely. But she's okay, because she knows Kung Fu.
The Minister finally closed down this hard drug injection site, which is right near a school. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, all Canadians deserve to live in safe communities, and that is a responsibility we take seriously. But part of taking a challenge like this seriously is listening to experts and listening to people working on the front lines of the opioid and toxic drug crisis.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they say that drugs shouldn't be around schools.
In order to help people to get through these difficult times, yes, we need to invest in help for these people.
Help does not mean giving them a safe place to get high. Help means getting them off the drugs.
Also need to invest in ways to protect Canadians. We will base what we do on science and evidence, not on ideology and politics. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, I would like the Prime Minister to tell me from what date to what date he was part of the National Assembly of Quebec. I don't seem to recall it, but if all of the parties here want to fight Islamophobia and polarization, they should consider adopting legislation tabled by the Bloc Québécois, which would put an end to the religious grounds for hate speech. Will the Prime Minister accept that?
Okay. So, I don't understand the question. I really don't understand that question.
Before it's too late for him, the Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the leader of the Bloc Québécois keeps insisting on this.
I think it has to do with the fact that certain groups are getting away with blatant anti-Semitism and racism because of their members of certain groups.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mr. Speaker, the leader of the Bloc Québécois keeps insisting on this. But he has just said very clearly that federal MPs from Quebec have less legitimacy than members in the National Assembly of Quebec. Well, I might really ask myself, hell, what is the Bloc Québécois doing here if they have so little legitimacy?
Whoa! Whoa! Trudeau? Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you feel are you
I can say a few things about that because
this is your last. This is the last people that are propping you up, dude. Is this what you want to say, man? Like he literally just came out today and said he was not going to vote no confidence. And that's what you want to say? Oh, okay, that's interesting, Fury. That you had that.
I would like to invite the Prime Minister to withdraw this. I would like to invite the Prime Minister to withdraw this unparliamentary language. I'm sure he can use other words to express his point. He has 10 seconds left.
Oh, shit.
Mr. Speaker, I'm being very clear. We are here to defend Quebec's interests in Ottawa at the federal level. I don't know what my colleague is even doing here if he doesn't think he has legitimacy to speak for Quebec.
That's not parliamentary, dude. He didn't say he didn't have legitimacy to speak for Quebec at all. He's going against the bloc. Bold strategy, Cotton. Right? Exactly. Like, this is a really bad idea.
Avant qu'on continue,
Before going on, this is an important point. I would just like to ask the Prime Minister to withdraw the unparliamentary language. And the Right Honourable Prime Minister said, I withdraw the word. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly.
I withdraw the word. The word. No, dude, you fucked up. It was at that moment when he realized he fucked up.
Oh. The Right Honourable Prime Minister. No, I'm sorry. I used the expression mot de campagne to describe what I said, but that's not accurate. I used a different word. I would like to withdraw that. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Well, perhaps I was not clear, or perhaps Mr. Trudeau... No, I'm sorry. Yes, I know that the Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly is a very experienced member. Of course, he made a mistake. I would invite him to start over again.
Because you're not allowed to say names. You're not allowed to... You're not allowed to call the name. Eject him? Right, they should have. They really should have ejected him. Non-parliamentary behavior, exactly.
And to respect the rules of this place. Yes, I withdraw that vulgar language.
Monsieur le Président, le Premier ministre est la preuve.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is living proof that we need to do more to protect French because he didn't understand what I said.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! You want to fucking prop this man up? Mr. Bloc Québécois? Seriously?
I would like Parliament to adopt legislation that would put an end to religious exemptions. He is a Quebec MP here in Ottawa. He should pay attention to the fact that this is what Quebec wants.
He's not wrong. His riding is in Quebec.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, in our federal system, the reality is that we have Quebec MPs elected to represent Quebec. And they do that in Quebec, in the National Assembly, but they can also represent Quebec in Ottawa and represent other Canadians as well. As a proud Quebecer, I will continue to do my job to protect my constituents in Papineau. And I will also be there to pay close attention to the well-being of the entire country.
You've had quite a long time to be doing that, sir. And you failed. Like a silent fart on a date, you can apologize, but it's still out there.
Chef de l'opposition.
Yay!
Quote, children are not able to buy alcohol. They're not able to buy marijuana or cigarettes, but they can have access to crack pipes and kits to be able to do so-called safe injection. It's just wrong. These are the words of the stepfather of Brianna McDonald, the 13-year-old girl who lost her life to a drug overdose in Abbotsford after she was denied treatment but offered drug paraphernalia by the authorities.
What the fuck? What the fuck? Okay, I need to look this up. Let me get the name.
Who lost her life to Brianna McDonald.
Brianna McDonald. Okay. We're gonna stop for a moment. Holy shit.
She was about 8 years old.
Board employee pricing is back.
Fucking ads. God damn it. CBC. No, it's... So this is actually a thing. There was a 13-year-old girl who was given fucking drug paraphernalia. I'm actually seeing this in news article. This is fucked up. This is fucked up.
The 13-year-old girl who lost her life to a drug overdose in Abbotsford after she was denied treatment but offered drug paraphernalia by the authorities. When will the Prime Minister end this radical agenda, close the drug dens, defund unsafe supply, and treat addiction to bring our loved ones home drug-free?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, tragedies like that are unthinkable, and we need to do everything we can as orders of government to bring them to an end.
Yeah, how about not having fucking safe drug injection sites near schools? How about that? Let's start there.
Protect kids, to protect communities, to protect vulnerable people.
Stop
That's
giving
why we
them
work
fucking
hand in hand
medical
with
grade
local
drugs.
authorities, with provincial authorities on the plans that will suit them, that will keep communities safe. We know there's not one size fits all solution. We know that ideology isn't the answer. Only the application of science, of compassion, of investments that will help people through
The
this terrible
application of
epidemic.
science and compassion.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, this young girl's family begged hospital treatment for their vulnerable teenager. Instead, she was given drug paraphernalia. This is all part of the radical experiment that the Prime Minister and the NDP have imposed and have contributed to 47,000 drug overdose deaths, with the biggest increases in the places where this approach has been tried. Alberta has reduced overdoses by 50% with treatment.
Yep.
Why won't he follow the science and back the plans that work?
Yeah, in Alberta, they've been doing addiction treatment, not just providing fucking safe injection sites.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
For anyone puzzled by the link or the not link to federal jurisdiction in that question, that was an ad in support of John Rustad, the BC Conservative leader who's about to be in a campaign, the leader of the opposition continues to focus on ideology while we roll up our sleeves, work with partners on delivering solutions for Canadians.
How is that parliamentary? How is that parliamentary at all? Polyev just said, why can't you follow the science and do what Alberta is doing federally and bring like addiction treatment? And now he's naming people in Parliament, which you're not allowed to do, by the way. And he's saying that Polyev doesn't care about these kids.
We need to lead with compassion and science, and that is what we will always do.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, it is federal because this federal Prime Minister has offered a criminal code and Controlled Drugs and Substances Act exemption.
What do you mean? You think what?
I think he's giving up.
Why? You do?
Exemption to allow the drug dens to go ahead, and he has spent hundreds of millions of dollars on tax-funded, unsafe supply that is killing our people and addicting our kids. It's just like on car theft, where he's brought in catch and release and house arrest for career car thieves. Today, he has a chance to reverse himself and vote for Common Sense Bill C-379 to bring in mandatory jail time for career car thieves.
Yeah.
Will he do the right thing?
No. No, he will not do the right thing, because that would require admitting that he was doing the wrong thing. $11 minutes left, guys. We can do this.
Once again, we see a return to the failed Stephen Harper tough on crime policies.
Oh my God.
Mr. Speaker, mandatory minimums struck down by the Supreme Court don't work. What has worked, Mr. Speaker,
He didn't say mandatory minimum sentences. He said mandatory jail sentences for career criminals.
Increasing the number of scanners after
Holy
Stephen Harper's
shit.
government cut them. Increasing the investments in policing, in AI to process and discover which containers will have cars in them. To crack down.
Oh yeah,
on
we
auto
need
theft.
AI doing our police work. Yes, that's totally what we need.
To step up with science and solutions instead of just flailing around and using the same failed Harper playbook.
The Honourable Member from Laval, Alfred Pellin.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Alors...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Skipping the French.
The agreement with
Wow,
Quebec.
Polyev is really
He's not serious
into it
on
today.
housing. Instead, he's attacking Quebec elected officials. There's a lot of work left for him to do with these paltry policies of his.
In 2015, Ahmed Faoud Mustafa El Didi appeared in an ISIS torture video dismembering a human body on a crucifix. Yet in 2018, this NDP Liberal government let him in, later giving him citizenship.
Wait, we did what now? Fucking hell.
Only to find from French authorities that he was plotting a massive terrorist attack on people living in the Toronto area. Also, this last several weeks, we learned that another potential terrorist gained access as under a student visa to plan an attack on New York City Jews. Why won't the Prime Minister reverse the damage he's done to our borders, secure our country, and stop the terrorism?
Fuck my life. What is my country turning into? Wow. Let me guess, this is gonna be deemed as racist, right?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, if the Leader of the Opposition was genuinely serious in his concern for national security, he would choose to get the top secret clearance that we have offered him.
Oh, fuck you. He doesn't need top secret clearance because then you're gonna make him sign an NDA and make him not talk about anything.
For this little performance. We, on this side of this House, don't play politics with national security.
That's sad, Fury.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, Carbon Tax Carney is already getting his way. Only days after he took on the unofficial and unelected role as finance minister, we learned that the company that he chairs is now seeking $10 billion federal Canadian tax dollars. Money to control Canadians' pensions. So he's gone from carbon tax Carney to conflict of interest Carney, and now coincidence Carney. Will the Prime Minister cut loose carbon tax Carney and call a carbon tax election so Canadians can choose their future?
What's Trudeau gonna say to that? Again, he's probably gonna throw another temper tantrum. Let's see.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Hard pivot away from his security clearance, Mr. Speaker. The reality is, Mr. Speaker, he is jealous that top-notch economists and world-renowned
jealous? He's jealous
to fight climate change.
That's what you're going with.
But he's stuck with
he's jealous.
Far-right conspiracy videos on YouTube.
And now you're back to the conspiracy YouTube videos. That's all you've got. He's jealous and he watches YouTube. Okay. All right. That's your fodder. Oh, okay. Cool.
The Honourable Leader.
Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Carbon tax Carney has nothing to hide. Then he would simply sign up and have an ethics clearance and an ethics committee review. We've tried to bring him to the ethics committee, mais le Bloc québécois a travaillé avec les libéraux pour
the Bloc québécois worked with the Liberals to stop that.
Follow the conflict of interest law, but the Prime Minister refuses to swear him in as a public servant. So, if there is no conflict of interest, why won't Carbon Tax Carney do a full job as a public servant that can be scrutinized by our Ethics Commission rather than fleecing Canadians?
Because he wants his money. That's why. Right on YouTube.
Look at this, Mr. Speaker. He's really cheesed that we didn't hire him on for the government payroll. Mr. Speaker, he's really cheesed that we didn't hire him on for the government payroll.
Oh my God!
That Mark Carney has chosen to step up to fight with the Liberal Party against the reckless and dangerous economic plans of the Conservative Party should be an example to all Canadians. People across the country beginning to see how ridiculous and dangerous the ideas that the Leader of the Opposition are putting forward and are stepping up to roll up their sleeves.
To have the same disease.
What do you mean? Is he flailing around too?
And fight back against that brokenist, austere vision.
Brokenist again? Dude, you were a teacher! You were responsible for educating people. And you are saying the word brokenist.
Of not helping Canadians, of hurting Canadians, of going back to a time where Canadians didn't have the bright future.
Hey! Irish Eagle.
The Honourable Member from Brampton South.
He also has dough in his
rental
name.
markets and home prices in communities across the country are making it difficult for Canadians to find an affordable place to live. The current systems in place to guide Canadians while they make these important purchases or protect them are not enough. Can the Prime Minister tell us what protection Canadians will find in the new blueprints for renters and home buyers' Bill of Rights?
I will not say what I really want to say. I will not say what I want to say. I will not say what I want to say.
You know, we're not supposed to really call it Bangladesh, but...
Did she have to practice saying that?
Yep.
I'm sorry, I had to say that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I tried not to. I tried not to.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the member for Brampton South for her advocacy on this important issue. This week, we released the blueprints for a renter's Bill of Rights and a homebuyer's Bill of Rights. It lays out a plan to help protect renters from unfair practices like rent evictions and excessive rent increases, something the Conservative leader couldn't care less about.
Oh, right, yes, because, you know, he only talks about housing all the time. Jesus.
Is a failed Harper housing minister with a laughable record. Lazy politicians come up.
Canadians, while they make these important purchases,
hell?
or purchasing Canadians.
For Brampton South for her advocacy bill from unfair practices like rent evictions and excessive rent increases, something the Conservative leader couldn't care
Brokenist
less
again?
about.
That's
The Conservative
impossible.
leader is a failed Harper housing minister with a laughable record.
That's not parliamentary at all. A failed Harper housing minister with a what?
The Conservative leader is a failed Harper housing minister with a laughable record.
A laughable record. How is any of that parliamentary?
Lazy politicians come up with Labour housing minister with a laughable record. Lazy politicians come up with lazy policies and failed results. That's exactly what the leader of the opposition is after offering Canadians.
That is skirting the fucking parliamentary language very, very closely.
The honourable member from Edmonton Strathcona.
Mr. Speaker, people living in Gaza and the West Bank continue to suffer
fuck
unbearable
off.
atrocities, and Canadians have been pleading with this government to do more to promote peace for both Israelis and Palestinians. And today, the Liberals had a chance. Today, they had a chance, and yet they failed to support a UN vote that demanded that Israel end its unlawful occupation of Palestinian territories. Once again, they're
What Palestinian territory? Oh my God.
choosing whose human rights matter. Why are the Liberals refusing to uphold international law and protect the lives of Palestinians?
That's technically borderline. That's almost calling them incompetent.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, there has been too much suffering, from Hamas's horrific attacks on October 7th to the heartbreaking catastrophe in Gaza. It has to end. We call for an immediate ceasefire, the release of all hostages, an urgent increase in humanitarian assistance in Gaza, and for Palestinian civilians to be protected.
Do you know what Hamas hears? Wah, 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 wah.
We need to return to a path to peace based on a two-state
A
solution.
path to
where
peace. There never was a path to peace between those
Israelis
two.
and Palestinians can live side by side in peace and security.
The honourable member from Kitchener Centre.
Mr. Speaker, it's been over a decade since my community was promised two-way, all-day GO train service from Kitchener to Toronto. Yet we still don't even have a timeline for
Israel wants a two-state solution. Everyone wants a two-state solution. You know who doesn't want a two-state solution?
Hamas.
Hummus!
completion. Folks in my community are stuck on overcrowded buses that are getting worse and worse each year. The federal government has already committed 40% of the project costs.
That's true. The project cost is first of all ridiculously overinflated, and second of all has already been mostly paid out. And they still have like half the system to build.
That's over $750 million.
Yep.
Will the Prime Minister join me and local community leaders in calling for accountability from Premier Ford and to push for a timeline for project completion?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
I thank the member for his question. Indeed, this government has put record amounts of infrastructure investment on the table to support Canadians in building transit, in building the infrastructure that they need on to get to and from work, to be able to afford better homes closer to work. These are the things that we're continuing to invest in, and we call on all premiers to step up in their investments, to work with us, to not listen to their Conservative colleague in Ottawa who wants to cut and underinvest in infrastructure. Instead, work with us to invest in a stronger future for all Canadians.
Honourable member from Sherwood Park.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This Liberal government chose to fund a Russian propaganda film.
Oh. Really? That's where they're gonna end it? They cut it out there? Oh. That's annoying. That's very, very annoying. That is super annoying. Anyway, we have come to the very end of our question period, and that's insane. That was fucking crazy. That was just absolute insanity and unparliamentary and just holy shit. That was crazy. Yeah, I wonder what tomorrow's gonna bring. We'll have to see. We will have to see. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday night or start to your Thursday morning. And if you watched the whole thing to the end, type brokenest in the comments. So let me know that you watched the whole thing to the end of the replay. So let me see those brokenists in the comments of the replay.